Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank where I climb the online Series 7 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. We're jumping back onto the ladder. I am still using the Regieleki Dragapult team that we featured from yesterday's episode. This team was able to get number 1 on the ladder, built and piloted by a Japanese player called Zeen, who you can learn more about in the description below. So, looking forward to a couple of fun games with this team, and thanks as always for watching Road to Rank. Like I mentioned, I'm going to be cycling through teams every 2 days or so for a while, and that way we get to, get a unique mix of teams. So I hope everyone's been enjoying it. Alright, first game of the day is up against a fairly offensive team, but they also have Cresselia and Glastrier, so there's obviously like a trick room component here from my opponent's team. So, given that they don't have redirection, I think Clefairy and Pult is definitely the right approach here, because we can use an Airstream to outpace the opposing Dragapult, and I feel like Dragapults aren't running max Airstream nearly as frequently as they used to. So I like those two. This is probably not a great game for Regieleki, given the 4 electric resists. So we'll probably drop that out. So then it's Urshifu, Fini, and Kartana. Fini's not that good into 3 things that hit it for super effective damage. I mean, I can change the terrain, but I think it's probably got to be Urshifu here. Fini is still decent against Rotom-H because we won't get KO'd by a Thunderbolt. We can get super effective damage off in return, but I'm kind of down for Urshifu and Kartana here. Kartana does really well into Cresselia, Rotom-H, and the Glastrier. So, yeah. Let's get into today's episode. As always, if you enjoy, please share support by leaving a like in the video. I'd really appreciate it. And question of the day, I want to know your opinion. What do you think is the hardest Pokemon game? Let me know in the comments below. I think for me, Colosseum was probably the game that I struggled with the most. Just because, I was super young when I first played it and I had no idea what was going on. So, yeah. Okay, it's going to be Regieleki and Dragapult. I could just go for like a Follow Me Phantasm turn 1, but I think I'd rather get a Airstream speed boost. So, because I can see Regieleki going for a Scream here. So, Follow Me, max Airstream into Dragapult is really safe here. Because I won't get any Sap drops with my Dragapult. We Dynamax first as well. Okay, the only downside of making this play is that they could go for a crazy play of Phantom Force. But maybe they don't Dynamax Dragapult, because Dynamaxing Dragapult here seems very risky. Which actually makes the Phantom Force play more likely now that I think about it. The reason I went max Airstream is in case my opponent went Reflect, I can go Airstream into Helping Hand Phantasm next turn for a KO. But they are going to Dynamax Dragapult. Okay, I think that's good news for us, personally. Because my Dragapult's definitely not going down this turn. I get a guaranteed speed boost, and the Regieleki cannot drop my speed because we're clear body. So, yeah. It's pretty interesting to go up against a Dragapult for the first game, though. I love Dragapult right now in the format. I think it's kind of underplayed. So, I'm happy to, see another player use it here as well. But the Follow Me here is pretty safe. It could just be a Volt Switch, like Phantasm into a Clefairy, which maybe KOs us. But, yep, they're going to go for a Reflect. Okay, that's fine. I really am curious on the item on the Dragapult, but, like, the thing is, now I'm definitely faster than you next turn. Unless you Airstream and we've been Speed Tying this whole time, but given that I have Helping Hand, it's a very safe Helping Hand Phantasm next turn, and my opponent can do nothing to stop that. At best, they can Max Guard and switch out the Regieleki. But they have Airstream as well. Oh, gosh, this is actually scary because I just don't know if we Speed Tied both on the Dynamax and on the first turn. So it's like a weird scenario where I actually would have liked my opponent to go first. They're not Life Orb, though, which makes me... Could be Weakness Policy. I think here I am just going to go for Helping Hand and Phantasm. And the reason why I'm going for Helping Hand is because, one, I think there's a decent chance we are just faster than a Dragapult. And even if we Speed Tie here, I have the Friend Guards. And without Life Orb, you definitely won't KO us. But they actually do go for the Max Guard. Okay, so maybe into a Volt Switch. Ooh, just a Thunderbolt. Is that enough to knock us out? Okay, it's not. That's good. Then I'll take that, honestly. Because I'm definitely just going for the same play here next turn. Even if I think trading KOs here, trading Clefairy for Dragapult is definitely a worthwhile KO. But this is an example of a game where I could have snowballed very, very quickly if I just targeted Regieleki last turn. That being said, I didn't feel super safe targeting that slot. We get a defense drop. We have Kartana and Urshifu in the back. Kartana with the Assault Vest is pretty good in this position. And they're actually going to conserve the Dragapult by switching it out. Very interesting. Okay. So what's coming in? That's going to be Rillaboom. Rillaboom. Okay. Well, I'll get a defense drop. I'll get a lot of damage onto the Rillaboom, but it'll survive, obviously, because of Reflect, probably around 25 to 30%-ish. I would think a Dragon Darts would finish it off. And the other thing is that my opponent just set up the grassy terrain for Kartana to thrive in, which is pretty good. So Regieleki, we've seen Thunderbolt, we've seen Reflect. I think it's likely going to be Light Clay with Light Screen and then Volt Switch or Electro Web as the fourth. But we'll still get a lot of damage off here. Okay, let's see. Yep, I actually did a little more than expected. Survives around like 15%-ish or so. I was saying 20 to 30. I guess after Grassy Terrain, though, we'll heal back up to that amount. Okay. I think we have to just go out into the Urshifu right now. Protect with the Urshifu, and just go for a Dragon Darts here. I think that's pretty safe. I don't want to bring in Kartana, because Kartana could just eat up a Fake Out Thunderbolt, and we don't want that right now. So, this is still fine. Like, I feel decent about our positioning. So even though this Protect is obvious, like, Regieleki really shouldn't do much damage here. I could consider going for a Phantom Force onto Regieleki, but I think I'd rather just Dragon Darts in this position. Even with Reflect up, I mean, we got that defense drop, so it'll do a decent amount of damage. Nicely played by my opponent, though, I think, because given the max... Like, I didn't think they would just max guard turn 2, but they clearly read into the Helping Hand play, so well done there. And then the switch out to conserve Dragapult was smart, too, but... they are just going to go for a Fake Out here, which is exactly why I couldn't bring out the Kartana. Yep, to double up on an Urshifu. That's perfect because I get a lot of damage off here, and I have Sucker Punch pressure going into next turn, and I don't lose my Focus Sash. So I felt really safe with that play. Look at how much damage Dragon Darts does there with the defense drop. Perfect, perfect. Okay. So I think Regieleki should be in Sucker Punch KO range now, and we still have that speed boost, so we will outspeed the opposing Dragapult as well. So it's looking pretty good for us in this endgame, but I have to keep in mind that like Rotom-H might be in the back, right? If Rotom-H's in the back, that's going to give my Kartana some trouble, so I'm going to have to play around that. But we're definitely in good shape right now. And you know, this was a core that was viable in, and yeah, actually Rotom comes out immediately. Okay, that's interesting. Wouldn't have guessed that, but I think it's fine. Like, I think we can just Sucker Punch here into the Regieleki and go for a Dragon Darts. Because Sucker Punch should KO Regieleki, and then Dragon Darts become single target onto the Rotom. Rotom can't knock us out. At best, you can Will-O-Wisp us, but, like, Rotom's not doing any damage into Dragapult unless you have a Dark Pulse. And, you know, Rotom Heats typically want Overheat, Thunderbolt, and then for your last couple of moves, Will-O-Wisp, Ally Switch, Nasty Plot are all options. Protect, obviously, as well. Okay, so we get the KO there, perfect. We get the Dragon Darts. And this is what I meant, right? Like, Dragapult just looked really, really good in Team Preview, especially because I had that Clefairy support. So that is kind of the mode that I wanted to play with in this game. Looks like they are going to opt for the Will-O-Wisp, and they're actually going to target the Dragapult. Okay. That makes a fair amount of sense to me, but I think this is okay. I think the only thing I don't want to do right now is activate a weakness policy on the opposing Dragapult. But I think if we go for Phantom Force, it's fine. Because the thing is now, we should just be able to KO the Rotom-H with a Wicked Blow. So I think they needed to go for Will-O-Wisp onto the Urshifu there. So, with this, I'm content to just go for a Wicked Blow onto the Rotom-H and go for a Phantom Force onto Dragapult. The reason I want a Phantom Force here is, I mean, it would activate a potential weakness policy, but Phantom Force plus Sucker Punch should be a KO onto the Dragapult anyway. And I think I always want to go for the Wicked Blow to KO the Rotom to force this to be a 3v1. So, yeah, they go for their own Phantom Force. That is totally okay with me. Works out even better for us because now I won't even activate a potential weakness policy. So, we get the Wicked Blow off. This should be a KO. It's always safe to target Rotom here because it obviously can't protect. And, yep, that is a knockout from the range that it's at. Perfect. And now we just Wicked Blow to KO Dragapult. So, this is a perfect example of how much pressure Dragapult can put on. This was interesting, too, because they actually ended up having max Airstream on their Dragapult as well. But you can see how we basically invalidated the Regieleki because it didn't do anything to us. You gotta Reflect up, sure, but Dragapult's so strong that it can pick up KOs even through Reflect if you have that Helping Hand support from Clefairy. So, yeah. I am really curious about the item here on the Dragapult. Like, I'm curious if it's weakness policy or not, but unfortunately we won't find out. Policy makes a lot of sense if you're not Life Orbed. I think that's... The only odd thing is that I don't see a great way for my opponent to, like, self-activate the policy on their team, so that would be kind of surprising to me, but... I don't know. Thinking of other viable items on Dragapult. I mean, some players ran, like, Specs, or like, Sash. Maybe it's Sash, I guess, but that'd be kind of surprising if you're running screen support from Regieleki as well, so... Yeah, my best bet is Weakness Policy. Because the idea is that you use Regieleki to set up the screens, then the Dragapult gets bulkier, and then a super effective attack won't KO it. So, that's what I think in my head. But yeah, I think that was an example of a game where my opponent did not have great switch-ins to Dragapult, right? Which is why I let it. Max Ghost kind of just destroyed the entire team. If you think about what they brought, Dragapult, Regieleki, Rillaboom, Rotom, none of those resist Ghost, and then Cresselia and Glastrier don't resist Ghost either. So the fact that we had one type of an attack that could just sweep through everything meant that it was a very, very good position for Dragapult. We're going up against a slower-paced team this time around, and we haven't really fought Trick Room yet, so I am eager to play this matchup because people were asking, like, you know, how would you approach the Trick Room matchup, and I think that's a great question. Trick Room, Trick Room, Trick Room. Okay. So, I could go Clefairy, Dragapult, and just Helping Hand Phantasm. That's just a one-shot onto the Dusclops, but the concern here is if you lead Regieleki Dusclops, because then you can set up screens. And that would be interesting. To which I could crit through with my Urshifu. Urshifu does not seem half bad here, actually. Because I don't really know if I need Clefairy here. Especially on turn 1. Kind of want to try out Dragapult Urshifu here just to put on a ton of offensive pressure on turn 1. And then in the back, I think Kartana and Fini seems fine here. I could go Regieleki too, but because my opponent's a slower paced team, I think we should go bulk here. The only upside of bringing Regieleki would be for the positive matchup into Glastrier and Moltres, because it does destroy Glastrier and Moltres. Actually, I don't know. Maybe it's not a terrible game for Regieleki, but the question is, who do I drop then? Because both Fini and Kartana are pretty solid here. I guess it's Kartana, because Kartana doesn't do that much damage here. And if we're going up against, I mean, it helps. I think the best reason to bring Kartana is the matchup against Glastrier. The other cool thing about Dragapult Urshifu, by the way, is that you can max Phantasm to get defense drops, and then Urshifu just does so much more damage afterwards. So, even if you go like Regieleki Dusclops, which is probably your best bet to set up Trick Room, I'll just destroy that. It's going to be Moltres Regieleki. Okay. So not ideal, because with Clefairy here, I could have just redirected. You know what's really interesting? Considering going for a Phantom Force here. Huh. Who do I Dynamax, I guess, is the other question in this one. Regieleki here can set up screens. It can also just go for a self-volt switch to activate Weakness Policy immediately. I don't want to Dynamax Dragapult here. Because I think Fini might be the max option if I can get rid of Regieleki. I also have my own Regieleki, which will do a ton of damage into Moltres. Alternatively, I could just Dynamax and Phantasm turn 1 into like a close combat. It's actually not a terrible idea. Okay. The thing is, if you Dynamax Moltres, I don't even think you outspeed Regieleki after a single speed boost. So now I can just bring out Regieleki and click Thunderbolt after I get damage off. Best case scenario here, my opponent's self-volt switches does so much damage to themselves that I KO close combat, but I don't think that would happen. Either way, though, nice lead by my opponent. I wanted to lead to beat Trick Room as hard as possible, so that not coming out is sad, but I don't think Clefairy was doing much more for us here, to be honest. Yeah, it gives us redirection, but then Moltres can nasty plot in front of us. That could get kind of scary. So I'm expecting Reflect here into Max Darkness. Unless you're Life Orb, Max Darkness shouldn't one-shot Dragapult, but maybe it is Life Orb. You would just think it's policy given this lead, but yeah, it's gonna be a Reflect. I actually wonder if a double up onto the Regieleki was the play there then. But we get the Phantasm off. Is that sashed, or did you just hang on with that little HP? It is sashed, okay. That means you're not Light Screen, or sorry, Light Clay, which is interesting. So let's show you how much close combat does. I'm expecting like 30-40%-ish or so. They probably Airstream us. Yeah, right around the money there. Okay. Airstream into Urshifu? Yeah, maybe I should have Airstream then. Oh, they target Dragapult. Ooh, that was more than I expected. I didn't think it would do so much there. That may be a problem. Because now they outpace us, and I think... It is Life Orb. Wow, okay. Yeah, I figured because it did so much. So you're not Weakness Policy. That may be a problem, because I can't Max Guard here. Yeah, that's a big problem. They might read into me Max Guarding, though, but we know we don't have a Max Guard here. Okay, so let's just Wormwind Moltres and go for I'm down to Wormwind and Sucker Punch here. I bet Regieleki sets up screens, like a light screen here. But if they don't, I can punish them really, really heavily for it. Especially because I don't have the... what was I going to say? The Focus Sash on Urshifu. Oh, no, I do have Focus Sash. Hold on. I'm not using my Black Glasses Urshifu yet. Close Combat may have been the move there, then. Okay, nice. They did go for an attack. So that's good. We get rid of Regieleki, which paves the way for our Regieleki now, but they might just be going for another Max Airstream. Yep, into Dragapult, presumably. Oh, they target Urshifu. Wow. Okay. So my best bet there is that they were reading into a Max Guard, which makes a lot of sense. And that's one of the other upsides of this Dragapult, right? In best of one, people very often expect Max Guard, but we don't even have Max Guard in this position. So we get the Max Wormwind off against the Moltres, and that's enough for a KO, which puts us in a phenomenal position. That was a crit. That crit, I think, mattered. Moltres is pretty defensive. They had Reflect Up, we had the defense drop, but I don't think... I think they would have probably been in Sucker Punch KO range. Like, I think they would have hung on with like 5 to 10%-ish or so, but that's definitely a very, very fortunate crit for us, and I think makes it impossible for my opponent to win now, just because we get another Phantasm with a Dragapult, and that's such a big deal here, so yeah, that was very lucky. They could be Scarf Landorus, though, so it's not over yet, actually. If you're Scarf Lando, I don't even know if you can one-shot the Dragapult here. So we have Regieleki in the back. That's obviously very, very good. I don't want to... like, Phantasm, I think, is always the best option here, just for those defense drops. Who do I have in the back? Tapu, Fini, Regieleki. Yeah. This would have been a very different game if the Dragapult just went down this last turn, but I think it's going to be Phantasm into the Landorus, and I think I just protect here. A defense drop covers every set of Landorus my opponent can run, because then Sucker Punch will just KO, and I can just bring in Regieleki to one-shot Tapu Fini right now. My Tapu Fini is also in very, very good shape, so yeah, I think we're good here, but that turn 2 was definitely a little fortunate. I'm trying to think how I could have played better. I wasn't expecting the Moltres Regieleki lead, so I had to, improvise a little bit, because I was expecting Dusclops, honestly, and I think if you're playing against Trick Room with this team and your opponent doesn't have redirection, like, this is what you want to do. Just basically pressure the Trick Roomer super, super, super hard. Against redirection, it gets a little dicier. It'd probably involve, like, Calm Mind setups with Tapu Fini. But let's see if this one-shots. I don't get... it's actually... Oh, right, Reflect is up. Forgot about that. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Is there anything I'm worried about right now? Ooh, Fly. I guess if you're... Calm Mind? Okay, they're not Calm Mind, though. Okay. So, given that they're using Fly, it means that you obviously are just going to come down. Okay, so we can very safely go out into Regieleki here. Could even Hyper Beam, I kind of want to for the animation, but the safe play is always to Thunderbolt into the Tapu Fini and switch Urshifu out into our Tapu Fini. That covers all our options. Because the Fly presumably is going into the Urshifu slot, I mean, even if you target Regieleki, you do no damage here. Your Tapu Fini needs to protect, otherwise we pick up the knockout onto that. And with that defense drop onto the Landorus, I can reset the Intimidate, come back in, just click Sucker Punch, and that's a guaranteed KO onto that slot. Tapu Fini does not opt for a Protect, maybe indicating that it's Choice Specs, but Specs Regieleki is able to just pick up the one-hit KO, which is perfect. So Kartana and Regieleki both would have been okay here, but the reason I liked having Regieleki more was for that endgame against the Moltres. Or not the endgame, the early game, I should say. Because Moltres is a really big offensive threat, but yeah, it was Life Orb too, so fortunate like Dragapult did not get targeted there, but also, okay, we just want to... The safe play here is actually to... Well, I mean, there's really not much my opponent can do. We have so many attacks that can KO. I guess you need to hope for EQ double crit, but even then, Regieleki... Well, then Regieleki would actually have to come back in and hit a Hyper Beam. That Fly also did a fair amount of damage, so I can't help but wonder if you're choice banded there. Although if you are, I feel like you should just lock yourself in a Rock Slide or EQ. Because, like, my Urshifu was at 1 HP at that point anyway, right? So, yeah. But not a bad game there. Obviously, we got pretty lucky with that crit. I think if we don't get that crit, though, Moltres is still in Sucker Punch KO range. However, what they can do is Max Guard on the 3rd turn to prevent the Sucker Punch. And the other thing is, had they gone Max Airstream into my Dragapult there, I would have been in really, really bad shape, I think, because then I don't get any damage off against the Moltres, and the Moltres is at +2 speed, so I'm pretty sure you outspeed my Regieleki. So then I'd probably have to bring out the Tapu Fini. I guess I still have my Focus Sash intact, so maybe it's not the end of the world, but Moltres could probably just Airstream and Landorus could Earthquake, and that would really, really hurt. So that's an example of a game, how, like, an example of a match where, like, one turn just makes all the difference there. And, yeah, it was scary. But I'm trying to think how else I could have led against Moltres Regieleki. Like, that's a really solid lead in the format right now. My Regieleki would have been decent, but they have the screens. Also, the scary thing about playing against Moltres is not knowing the item on turn 1. As you saw, that was just a Life Orb Moltres. Weakness Policy is by far the most common item right now, but, you know, Life Orb, a Misty Seed, even a Berry are all viable items, and I, you know, wouldn't be super surprised to see any of those. Whoa, okay, Latios Sun. That's cool. Torkoal, Rillaboom, Venusaur, Charizard, Amoonguss, and Latios. So triple grass. A lot of resistances to Regieleki. Triple grass. Got Sun as well. I feel like Clefairy here is really good, though, because I can just Airstream things. Clefairy. Fini seems odd, but it's not maybe a terrible idea just to set up terrain so that I can't get put to sleep. Like, Urshifu Fini here is safe. I'd love to bring Kartana. I really would, but I don't know what it does here against 2 grasses. Well, actually, this is Aerial Ace, doesn't it? It does. Huh. Wait, hold on. You actually can wall Venusaur and Rillaboom really hard, then. Clefairy. I mean, Urshifu Fini is the safest, but Fini is really... I was going to say it's really bad offensively here, mainly because of the grasses, but, like... still not bad against Torkoal. Because if I go Dragapult, Clef, Urshifu, Kartana, I don't have much for Torkoal, so... I think it's probably Urshifu Fini. It's Urshifu here because the Focus Sash is really, really valuable against this team, and it's Fini here because I need the resistance to the fire types here. Namely the Torkoal. Because Torkoal, unless you have Solar Beam, you really can't touch Tapu Fini, and even if you have Solar Beam, a single Calm Mind means that you're not KOing us. I don't even know if you 2-hit KO us with the Citrus, especially if we get another Calm Mind off in the subsequent turn. And while it's probably unlikely, there is a world in which Fini could Dynamax here. Although I guess if I'm leading Dragapult, probably not. Charizard Amoonguss. I think it's probably a Helping Hand Max Airstream turn 1, but my only fear here is Focus Sash Amoonguss. It could also be Koba, actually. Both of those are decently likely. So actually, I think the better place to just switch out into Tapu Fini, because I don't really need Friend Guard right now, Dynamax, and just Airstream into Amoonguss. That also gives Tapu Fini a speed boost, which is pretty valuable here. And Dragapult walls Charizard decently well. The one way you could really do damage into Dragapult is obviously Max Airstream, but if the sun is up, then that's not really too much of a problem. And this is one of the reasons why I felt like I needed to bring Tapu Fini to have better insurance against Amoonguss in the early game. So, yeah, I feel okay about this. So we got into Tapu Fini, we set up the terrain, we max Airstream Amoonguss. If Amoonguss stays in, you'll probably survive, but Amoonguss surviving here is really not that bad unless you went for a Sludge Bomb into Clefairy, which is not crazy to think about. Like, I could see my opponent going for G-Max Wildfire Sludge Bomb into that slot. But I think this is the safest play because if my opponent is Sash or Koba Berry on Amoonguss, both of those are very likely. It survives the turn and Spores in a Dragapult, we're in really, really bad shape. And I like Airstreaming here because it does a ton of damage regardless of your item, and it gives Tapu Fini the speed boost. And with the speed boost, Tapu Fini now can outspeed Charizard next turn, which means we can start Calm Minding as well. So, if it's a Wildfire into Fini here, this is a fantastic turn 1 for us. Amoonguss stays in, which means there's no Torkoal switch in, which means no Sun comes out, which is good. So Charizard's not really going to do that much to us. Worst case is a Max Airstream into Tapu Fini, but even then I'm not too worried about that. What I have to start thinking about, though, is the endgame against Torkoal and Venusaur if you have that in the back. How do I beat Venusaur with what I have? Urshifu Wicked Blow will do a lot of damage, but it won't be a knockout. And Clef doesn't really do anything, nor does Fini. So I actually have to be careful about that, and that's something to keep in the back of my mind. And I know it's just turn 1, but you always have to think about just like everything right from the start. But wow, they just went for Rage Powder. Okay. Well, I don't mind playing it safe here. I think, yeah, it looks like it is Koba. I feel like they could have gotten away with the Spore there. I mean, it doesn't end up mattering. Like, this play covered every option, but wow, that's so much damage still. Helping Hand Urshifu would have KO'd there. Huh. Oh, that was a crit, that's why. Okay. Yeah, I was like, that's a kind of absurd amount of damage there. Okay, so let's see if they go for Airstream or Wildfire. Either way, their Amoonguss is basically useless right now. They're going to go for their own Airstream, which is fine, into Tapu Fini. Okay, so we take a sizable amount of damage there, you know, around 50%, but honestly, it's fine. I think switching into my Tapu Fini is just safe because, once again, if Dragapult falls asleep to a Spore on turn 1, we are in really, really, really bad shape. So I just do not want to take that chance. Okay, so not bad right now. Honestly, I'm kind of down to just Calm Mind here and go... They're not a Life Orb on Charizard either, which is interesting. Like, if I keep Airstreaming, I'll outpace the opposing Charizard. And... The only thing I'd want to do here is maybe consider going for a Phantasm. I could also just max Airstream and Muddy Water for some damage. I was going to say that might be the play because Rillaboom could come in. What if they're Weakness Policy? That'd be crazy. Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to go for damage here. I don't think getting a boost here, a Calm Mind, is really that valuable. Because it's not... I mean, they might have Overgrowth on Charizard, I guess. No Protect from the Amoonguss, so that's good. I think a Protector switch there was definitely possible. Okay, so we get the Speed Boost. Muddy Water, single target. Should do around like 30-40%-ish. That's my guess. Should outspeed Charizard right now as well. Let's see. Oh, we don't. And they have Overgrowth. Okay. That's not good. That's not good. I forgot how much speed investment this Fini had. I thought it was EV to outspeed base 100s, but I guess not. Okay. Well, that makes this a slightly trickier, but the thing is now my Dragapult really outspeeds everything on my opponent's end, and once again, they still don't do much damage into my Pult. But, yeah, Phantasm would have been better there. I thought the speed boost would allow us to outspeed, and that was a slight mistake on my end. Going into Clefairy now, I can redirect anything, can one-shot anything coming out next to the Charizard. Torkoal makes the most sense in this position, right? Because you can finally go for your max move. Did you max Wildfire? Actually, I think if you have Torkoal, you definitely bring it out here. So I blundered a little bit there. That's going to be Venusaur, actually. Interesting. Venusaur. That's probably Focus Sash, right? Ugh, that may be a problem. I don't even know if I follow me here. Like, I think I'd rather just go Dazzling Gleam into Air Slash. Sorry, Airstream. Not getting any damage against this Charizard's been bad for me, though, honestly. Okay, we get the Airstream off. If you're not Sash, you should Fame, but I think you're going to be Sashed here. Oh, they're not. Okay. Then it's probably Life Orbed, if I had to guess. This is still scary, though, because, like, my opponent's Charizard is super fast, and they're probably going to Wildfire this turn, so I'm just, like, I don't know if I can do enough damage in this late game. Which is why, I really needed that Muddy Water damage off, because if I get the Muddy Water, then I can just, like, Helping Hand Phantasm KO. What is the item on Charizard, too? That's my question. Also, like, I haven't seen Charizard run Overgrowth in a while, just because a lot of Charizards nowadays opt for, like, Fire, Flying, Quake, and then Protect. So it is pretty speedy right now. That being said, I can Protect, Phantom Force, and then Helping Hand next turn, which will do a lot of damage. Maybe even KO Charizard, depending on how bulky it is. What's my opponent's last one? I'm expecting Torkoal. Wow, it's Rillaboom. Okay. Rillaboom. Is that bad? Might be bad. No, it's not bad. Because we can always Protect here. You can't Fake Out. Protect Phantom Force is really safe. My only question is whether Helping Hand, Life Orb, Phantom Force KOs Charizard. Because I could Fly instead and KO the Rillaboom. But I think we go for Charizard because right now the Charizard outspeeds our Urshifu in the back. So yeah, I think that's definitely the correct target. So we Protect Phantom Force this turn and then Helping Hand next turn as the Phantom Force is coming down. I can't believe Torkoal never came out in this game. That's the main surprise here for me. If we could also stall out the Wildfire before Urshifu comes in, that'd be great, but I don't think that's possible. Dragon Pulse. Wow, so they had Wormwind this whole time. Dragon Pulse, Fire, Flying, and Grass. So that thing does not have Protect, which is actually really important information, but it's definitely a Helping Hand here. If we don't KO, though, I think we actually probably lose. I don't know if this gets the knockout on a Charizard. If I got a defense boost, it would have, though. Or, sorry, a defense drop. So, This is my bad for forgetting the Fini would still be slower than the base 100s. That's something I should have known. Okay, they go for Grassy Glide, that's fine. We need this KO, though. If we don't, we lose. I think because Charizard has Dragon Pulse, so you actually KO us in return. Okay, we pick up the knockout, though. Oof. Nice. Clefairy has been putting in a ton of work for us today. Okay, so we take some more Wildfire damage, but we should survive another one. Grassy Terrain heals us up a little bit. I have Urshifu as my last one. This is why it's important to think about these endgames, though. But I am surprised that it was just Venusaur and Rillaboom here in the back. And no Torkoal. Last turn of Terrain, last turn of Wildfire. I can't protect with the Dragapult. I mean, Phantom Force does the most damage here, right? But I think there's a way in which I lose where if they Grassy Glide Dragapult, I Phantom Force, and I faint. I think we just go for as much damage as possible. So we can just Wicked Blow and Dragon Darts here, I think, which is fine. Because you can't KO both Pokemon, and it should be... 3 attacks should KO the Rillaboom. In fact, Dragon Darts and Wicked Blow alone probably KOs, but even if it's bulky enough to survive both, you can't knock out both of my Pokemon here. At best, you can KO one, right? Actually, I think the Stub Bulb will probably just finish it off, but yeah. Always just good to think about the late game win conditions and, you know, see what the worst case scenario is there. Yeah, in my head, I was thinking of protect Phantom Force just to stall out the last turn of Terrain, but because we have Focus Sash anyway, we're always guaranteed an attack off against the Rillaboom, even if they crit a Glide into our Urshifu, and they're banded. Well, they can't be banded because of Fake Out, and they can Glide, but Grassy Seed, I guess. So even if you're Grassy Seed, we'd survive. Alright, but those are some fast games, so we have time for a 4th game today. Let's play it. I am curious on the items here. With Shuck on the Torkoal, AV on Rillaboom. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Weather Ball, Chlorophyll, Life Orb, Venu. No Dynamax candies, though. Expert Bell Charizard. It was not Max Candied either. Focus Sash Latios. That was the one I really wanted to see come out here. And then Koba Amoonguss. Okay, with Giga Drain. So, I think, you know, once again, Dragapult offensively. So we go up 1 rank total there. Dragapult offensively was super good there once again, and the Airstream coverage makes such a big difference because it's the difference between picking up those knockouts onto Rillaboom, Urshifu, or Amoonguss or not. Sorry, there wasn't even Urshifu in that one. Rillaboom, Amoonguss, and Venusaur. I am surprised my opponent never didn't bring Torkoal in that matchup because I feel like it enables your Charizard and Venusaur super well. So like if I were my opponent, I would consider just leading Sun out right there because I don't have much to really change the weather. And by enabling Sun immediately, you do so much more damage with Charizard, and then you set yourself up for Venusaur in the late game as well. But I'll take it. Alright, last opponent of the day. Let's see what they got here. Dragapult, Urshifu, Fini, Rotom, Landorus, Glastrier. This reminds me a lot of the first game today. I think it's just Urshifu, Dragapult here once again. I said Urshifu Dragapult, didn't I? It is late. I apologize. It was a long day. Clefairy, Fini, Urshifu, I think. Regieleki and Cortana are fun here, though. Very fun. The problem with Regieleki is it does no damage into Dragapult, it does very little into Rotom and Landorus. So I'd be bringing it to be Urshifu, Fini, and Glastrier. Glastrier here is interesting. It reminds me of the team I had Glastrier just thrown on for like opposing Trick Room matchups. The thing is, if I bring Urshifu Fini, my answer against the opposing Fini is a little bit rougher. Well, it's definitely Urshifu. I think I always bring Urshifu here. I think it's probably still Fini. Just feels more consistent overall. Because what I don't like about Regieleki is the potential endgame. And by also bringing Fini, I have a better damage outputting into Dragapult. And I think Dragapult's the scariest thing on my opponent's team. So, if they lead that and they Dynamax it, we'll be in a really big advantage in my opinion. Because I've got Max Airstream, I've got Friend Guard, I've got Helping Hand, then I've got Fini and Urshifu in the back as well. Let's see. Rotom and Glastrier. Uh-oh. Okay. And that, I don't think I fully expected. Is that super bad for us? Not necessarily, to be honest. Especially because, like, I think our play turn 1 here is just... Oh, not helping hand. Follow me, Dynamax, and go for a... Ooh, Phantasm or Wormwind here. Fini. We have got Fini in the back. They don't have much to hit my Fini. I don't know if we one-shot Rotom. I don't think most are off defensive enough to survive. I think it should be Helping Hand to Wormwind. As tempting as the defense drops are, if I'm not getting a KO with the defense drop on the next turn, I'd rather just take the immediate attack drop here. So, by going for Helping Hand Wormwind, we do a ton of damage onto Rotom. Or sorry, Follow Me Wormwind. Do a ton of damage onto Rotom. I would think it's a one-shot, but maybe for like very, very bulky Rotom, you can survive. Rotoms are typically pretty invested in bulk, but like the tricky thing about Rotom is like you also want speed investment. So like HP, special attack, and speed are 3 areas that you really prioritize with Rotom Heat. So it's like you only pick 2 of the 3. So I think Glastrier Max is here. Glastrier Dynamax I did not expect. I think this is still fine, and I think we actually have the right tools in the back to deal with it as well. Honestly, I'd rather have Fini and Urshifu than anything else. Kartana's kind of nice, but I don't know. I mean, it still gets hit by super effective damage. Fini actually walls Glastrier a decent amount, especially if we get these attack drops. What could be scary here? I doubt you have it, but Scarf and Will-O-Wisp Rotom. Although I guess we redirect anyway with Follow Me, so I think it's fine. Clef is just such good support for Dragapult. Like, this duo is still so good. Okay, nice. So, no switches. And yeah, that's enough for a one-shot. Beautiful. And this is what Dragapult does really well, right? It can one-shot almost the entire format out if you're not Dynamax. And so this is perfect for us because now we're getting these attack drops onto the Glastrier. Oh, they have Steel Spike, though. That's cool. Holy cow, that's still so much damage even with the attack drop. Yikes. That may be a problem. I mean, I think what we do is probably protect this next turn and just Wormwind or Phantasm, whatever's coming in. Probably Phantasm. I want those defense drops. Even Helping Hand, actually. I mean, a defense drop would only negate what they currently got. Glastrier is not really that scary, but keep in mind that it can instantly get to 2 attack boosts in 1 turn. The bear on Urshifu. I mean, if you're bringing out Urshifu, you're very likely going to be Focus Sashed here, but you also are likely to be faster than the... I mean, you're definitely going to be faster than Glastrier. So unless you have Poison Jab, I don't know if Crit Wicked Blow KOs us here. But I think I actually do have to just attack here outright. So let's just go for... Dazzling Gleam actually works here if you don't KO. Yeah, so Wormwind Dazzle here feels okay. Because if Wicked Blow does not KO Clefairy, it's a double KO for... sorry, a KO onto the Urshifu for sure. I'm assuming it was sashed here, which is why I didn't go for like Helping Hand, but if it wasn't, it'd be kind of sad. I think it's probably Wicked Blow into Clef, and we'll see if that's enough for a KO. They have Poison Jab. Okay. That does KO us. Well, I don't think you KO with Hailstorm at -2, but if I'm wrong here, that could be really bad. Although Urshifu, I think, actually feigns from Hail, which is good for us. Okay, Dragapult survives, nice. Yeah, I was like, there's no way you KO, right? But, I don't know, Dragapult's such a frail Pokemon that I don't know if I have a ton of faith in it. But, I mean, it's been amazing for us today. Like, this is a perfect demonstration. I read some comments yesterday about how people were like, yeah, I don't know, this team doesn't look that good, but like there was a reason why I was able to get to number 1 on the ladder. It's just super consistent in best of 1 play, and the ability to just overwhelm your opponent with offense is incredible. So I think who did my opponent have in the pack? They had Rotom, Glastrier. I don't remember team preview super well, to be honest, but I think we probably go out into Fini. So then Urshifu can come out and just close combat Glastrier in the last turn of Dynamax. They have Landorus. Okay, perfect. Perfect. And this is the awkward thing about having Glastrier. If you're not under Trick Room, going second really sucks because your opponent can just increase their stats or decrease your stats. So, I think this should be game. Unless your Landorus is Choice Scarf, then Earthquake KO. I don't even think... No, because we... Oh, we don't have any speed boosts. Yeah, I don't think Earthquake KOs here. So, I think it's very safe. Actually, I don't want to Muddy Water here. I want to just Moonblast into Landorus and... Airstream or Phantasm? I think a Phantasm is fine. Another Wormwind is fine too. I don't really think it makes much of a difference here, actually. So I'm just going to double up onto Landorus. Because Urshifu will win the 1v1 against the Glastrier. They do Protect here on the Landorus, okay. But given that you have Protect, that means that you cannot defend yourself from Urshifu this next turn. Which is good. I didn't need to Moonblast there, though. Like, the only reason I went for that was to cover for it being super, super defensive Landorus. But if you're super defensive, you're not doing any damage to us, right? So why am I worried about you? Calm Mind was probably the right play there. Because the problem here is, like, Glastrier will get an attack boost by KOing the Dragapult. Just slightly scary. So I can't help but think I misplayed that turn a little bit. I also think Wormwinding is better. Landorus isn't grounded, so it's actually not affected by the Misty terrain. Okay, so they get Chilling Neigh off, but they're still at -1 attack, so I don't think it's that scary. We also know it's not Scarf Landorus at this point, so that's good. The only thing is that I don't know what item you have on the Urshifu yet, or sorry, on the Glastrier yet. And like, it might be Weakness Policy. I think that's likely. Close Combat won't one-shot it because it's at neutral defense right now. So I should have Calm Minded last turn. That would have been better. Or Muddy Water, but it's at -1 attack, so I feel like it's pretty safe to just Muddy Water Protect here. Because what I don't want is for Urshifu to get knocked out this turn by Hail and a KO. Like, if I KO the Landorus, we just win. Granted, now they could go for a Rock Slide Flinch and like a high horsepower and a Fini, but Fini is really bulky here, so we're not really at risk of... Ooh! Wow, that was actually a really cool play. I didn't consider that option at all. I think we're still fine, but now we are actually at risk of losing to a miss. And they Heavy Slam. So, like, Close Combat here should finish off the Glastrier. But, like, do I Muddy Water now? Or do I Moonblast? Moonblast isn't KOing anyway, to be honest, so I think Muddy Water is fine. Because it covers for the option of Glastrier being super, super bulky and surviving here. The beautiful thing about Urshifu is that you can't Protect in front of us right now, right? So, yeah. It picks up that KO. So, I mean, obviously it's Fly into the Urshifu slot. So, like, I could still lose this if we missed the Muddy Water. Yep, there's Fly. Moonblast was probably the right play there, because I think it actually probably picks up the KO. This was a sloppy endgame on my end. We win, but this is one where, like, we could maybe get pretty unlucky to actually lose the game. And given how far ahead we were, it's actually inexcusable to be in a position like that. So, I'm not super happy about this game. Like, we win, but I think there was a lot that I could have done better. And it starts when I had Dragapult plus... I had Dragapult on the last turn at Dynamax. Anything other than doubling up into Landorus would have been a better play there. Even Calm Minding, for example, or Muddy Water for Chip. Because the way I lose that endgame is if I miss Muddy Water. I actually think Moonblast on the Landorus actually probably just changes all of that, because it should be a KO onto Landorus, because Hail is still up, so I get a little bit of extra chip from that, and you're not Assault Vested. But the problem is that, like, if I actually miss the Muddy Water and then Landorus gets a crit to KO the Tapu Fini, like, the odds of that, are they slim? Yeah, but it's not, like, the super, super smallest of chances either. So the fact that it was even a possibility, man, I should have mitigated it. I was just worried about, like, Glastrier being super, super, super bulky and actually surviving the close combat there. So the Muddy Water cover that option, but you're normally just going to be max HP, max attack there. So I think Moonblast into Landorus would have been fine, because even if Glastrier survives, you don't really KO the Tapu Fini. I just didn't know the damage roll onto the Landorus. And actually, since we have some time, might as well do that now. It's a good time to learn. Because I don't know whether or not it was a KO. Landorus was at about, like, 55%-ish or so. So, Tapu Fini with Moonblast against Landorus. Yeah, I don't remember the Fini spread here, but Moonblast, if you're, like, modest max, does 53 to 64. So with Hail being up, I think it probably would have done enough. Just wasn't 100% confident on that. But given that it was at, like, 55-60%-ish, yeah. I think if we just Moonblast and Landorus there, things are better. No need for the risk on the Muddy Water. I was just super, super scared about Glastrier being very, very tanky. But, yeah. I mean, this episode was just a demonstration of why Clefairy Dragapult's still really good in this format. You know, I was using Indeedee Dragapult earlier on that team that I built, like the first team I built with Glastrier, which was fun because it was oriented around getting a Dragon Dance off, but I think the Clefairy Dragapult duo on this team does what I wanted to do with that previous team, but just better. So, yeah, if you're looking for fast-paced offense, you should start here. And I love the 4 attacks on it as well. As you can see, a lot of people often read into the max cards from the Dragapult. So, yeah. I'm curious how high that gets our rank to, actually. And once again, like, the original creator of this team was able to get to number 1 on the ladder with this team. And so you can kind of see why. So I'm just curious if that jumps us into the top 20. Either way, though, it's been a fun run in a game. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I know that this team is maybe a little bit more standard, but there are enough tricks up its sleeve. Never mind, it gets us up 1 rank total. And this is the struggle in climbing the ladder once a lot of people have been established. Like, it's hard to make progress up the higher ranks because you basically need to hope to play like super high ranked opponents as well. But yeah. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this episode. Thanks as always for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I will catch you all next time. All right, peace.